Okay. Okay. Hello. Okay. Lower. Hi. That's too low. So, okay. May I go back a little bit?
Thank you.
Hi.
Do you use sugar or salt?
No, I don't. Thank you very much.
It's already on.
That's too low. So, okay. Hi.
I lost you.
Hello, Vance.
Hi.
Hi. We try to solve some technical problems.
Everybody's understanding?
We try to solve some technical problems.
Okay.
Okay, Marco. Uah, nee, das geht nicht. Okay, dann muss ich da reinsprechen. Okay.
Good job. Good job.
Marco? Okay, we can start.
Great.
Where's the third guy?
Marco.
And Oliver wanted to come too, huh?
Can you hear us, Benz and Kitty?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Then you can put it louder. Okay.
Come in.
And now people are seeing you too.
Yeah.
Nee, machen wir jetzt ein bisschen zu. Also so angelehnt.
Ja.
So, hello, Vance and Kitty. Do you hear me?
Yes, we hear you, but Vance cannot unmute his microphone. Can you unmute?
Yes. Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Benz. Okay.
Hi.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, you're here. You hear us too?
Yeah, perfectly.
Very nice, very nice. So I take off the mask in front of the computer. He's not Corona. So hello and welcome.
Hi. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, we have a little audience here in sound and some more on Zoom, and we play it also real time on YouTube, so people can just watch also the session here. Yeah, it's a pity that you couldn't come personally to Berlin, How is the situation in Budapest?
Not good.
Okay. Yeah, you prepared a kind of presentation and lecture, and yeah, it would be nice if you can start.
Okay.
Shall we start, or do you want to?
Present them, Vance Palincash and Kitty.
Yes, it's about the project Wild Garden Utopia, and it's a kind of workshop in process, I think. And we all looked very often to this nice photo of you in the rocks. And yeah, maybe you can start your presentation.
Hi, can you see me?
Yes.
Okay. I am Kitty, Kitty Gosztola, and thank you for joining us, and thank you for the invitation. We are working together with Vance since 2016 on several projects, workshops, videos, and we deal with social issues through plants, animals, nature, especially invasive alien species. I am most interested in the relationship between nature and fine arts, the mythological and ideological interpretations of nature. And both of us working with other people and in other collaboration. For example, I examine in a trio marine research of the Hungarians in the beginning of the 20th century. So we have different other projects and collaborations, but in the Wild Garden of Utopia, we are working with Vance since for 4 years.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Vance Palincash, and I'm came from a visual art background, but now I'm mostly working on a theater project, documentary theater project, and beside of making workshop like the Wild Garden Utopia, but now I'm working on a theater project called The Little Melting Pot about the 19th century forms of nationalism and how the nationalisms was really different back then, sometimes multi-ethnical and emancipatorical. Yeah, and I really like to make potato prints, but let's start the presentation. So we started the Wild Garden Utopia project 2 years ago. We was in Jersey Island, and also we exhibited in Budapest. And this whole project is our wishful thinking, and because maybe you are thinking about why a utopia in the Dystopia festival, and because our utopia, we imagine this utopia after a complete collapse of our ecosystem, and nobody knows how much time needed to ecosystem just reach the equilibrium state, but it may be 1,000,000 years. And we're thinking about if people can survive. We think not, but if somebody survived, they probably live in a harmonious or symbiotic relationship with the nature, and we are trying to imagine this utopia, and how sublime is a continent covered completely with one species, because we imagine a state where whole Europe is just covered with Japanese knotweed, and this plant that you can see in the exhibiting place is in the center of our project.
I would like to speak a little bit about the background of our name, Wild Garden Utopia. The name.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, good.
Yeah, I didn't. Okay, thanks. So the name of our project is come from a gardening fashion called Wild Garden, in which Japanese knotweed played an important role. In fact, the plant could thank its popularity to this fashion. The term was introduced by an Irish gardener and journalist, William Robinson, who wanted to achieve a seemingly wide, naturally growing composition of plants that do not require special human care. They can grow naturally, and they can take care of themselves. And doing so, he used to exotic plants like Japanese knotweed that are tolerant to temperate climates. So this fashion became very popular against Victorian formal and parcelled and pattern gardening. Robinson praised the Japanese knotweed in his several books. And he says, I quote, "The beauty of its graceful foliage and majestic clump grow year by year." But an improved edition of his book in the late 19th century, he already draws attention to the fact that Japanese knotweed can spread can spread and overgrow the other plants in the garden.
Yes, so they knew it can overgrow other plants, but they didn't expect this plant can cover the entire UK, and it didn't happen yet, but the people in the UK really afraid of this will happen soon, because it's almost impossible to eradicate this plant.
So was this the reason that you made it in Jersey Island?
Yeah, it's in Jersey Island. There was a lot of wild garden style garden, and there's a lot of Japanese knotweed, but it's everywhere in Europe. It's in Hungary, probably it's in Berlin.
We tried to find it here at the river banks of Spree, but I was not sure if it's there.
You are lucky.
Not really, because you make a lot of interesting things out of it.
Yeah. We will talk about it, because yeah, it's a really a useful plant.
Yes, and you can figure out from the name Japanese knotweed, it came from Japan in the beginning of the 19th century by a Dutchman, doctor and scientist who worked in Nagasaki, and he collected the Japanese knotweed from nearby volcanic area. This woodblock print shows a traditional Japanese depiction of the knotweed. So he returned to Europe, to Leiden, and the doctor and scientist started to reproduce this plant and send it to individuals, institutions, botanical gardens, and this is the way how how the plant reached the famous Kew Gardens in London as well. So many people wanted to own and plant this newcomer, because during that time it was a fashion to plant exotic plants. And that's why it was also due to the fact because it was chosen. It was chosen as the most interesting plant of the year by a Society of Agriculture and Horticulture at Utrecht in 1947. So it was a good promotion because it was chosen the plant of the year. Yes, and the Japanese knotweed in its original habitat behind the Nagasaki volcano.
Yes, and because this plant can grow in after volcanic eruptions, it can go through volcanic lava and make space for other plants and later animals. It also can go through concrete and stone structures. So the Japanese knotweed can demolish human infrastructure, and it can make a city habitable again. Yeah, it's a slow but really persistent plant. And in the UK, they're really afraid of this plant because when I was a guest researcher in London, somebody told me a story about people who just drop small parts of the Japanese knotweed in people's houses, and when the plant is covering the entire house, they can buy it in a really cheap price, and after they just completely demolish everything and make a complete soil change. I'm not sure it's true, but it can like show us how the people afraid of this plant in the UK, but it can really go inside houses.
Great. Maybe this is also possible for destroying Pentagon or something like that.
Yeah, it's definitely it could be a tactical weapon.
Would take a lot of time, but no, a few years to demolish.
Doesn't matter 2-3 years. That would be very nice. Or to put it in tanks.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to show that our audience that they not now. No?
Hello.
Hi.
Can you see us?
No.
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 I can see you.
We can see everybody.
Okay.
You can see?
Weiß nicht.
Eigentlich ist
Ja, Sie sind noch auf der Präsentation. Okay, let's continue. Yeah. Okay, maybe we switch off video for better connection.
So there are really extreme news about the fear of Japanese knotweed. For example, a man killed his wife and after himself over fear about Japanese knotweed blighting their home, because a plant began to spread in their neighborhood, and he feared it would spread to their garden as well. And so their house would lose its value, as Vance said, and he would not be able to sell it. And the kind husband, he killed his wife first because he didn't want to leave her alone with the devaluated house and the debt. It's very crazy, I think.
And it's not a fake news.
No, it's a real.
It's BBC.
It's BBC,
It
Telegraph. Yeah, strange.
Yeah, and the press about the plant is really crazy because they said the plant that ate Britain. It's a headline, Sunday Times, invasion of the killer weed, the invasive plant that aids the value of your home. And also there's a headline that we need to explain.
Yes, another extreme story behind the Japanese knotweed. In the UK and Ireland, Japanese knotweed are a single female clone because the Dutchman doctor brought a female or a single female plant from Japan, and this plant spread everywhere in UK vegetatively with its rhizomes because it's unable to reproduce herself sexually. And that's why it's often mentioned as a female monster in the British press.
And they started to criminalize the plant. The plant is depicted in a mugshot, and they started to call it the terrorist weed, the garden terrorist, and they figure out a capital punishment for this plant itself because they just invented a machine that can electrolyze the plant. It's like an electric chair for a plant.
The pressure of the plant, it's using the water to kind of boil and then
Yeah, so
that's a really cruel noise.
Yeah, it was really hard to watch. Actually, we made this video in Jersey Island, and we just thinking about the ethical aspect of this this whole story, because Japanese knotweed and all the other so-called invasive alien species not just started to spread. It's always introduced by human as an ornamental plant or for some kind of usage of the plant, or just accidentally introduced in Europe. But there's a lot of regulations against these invasive alien species, and because plants and animals don't have unalienable rights, they just started to eradicate it in the entire continent. But fortunately, the Japanese knotweed can basically reborn, because if someone tried to kill it, it will eventually came back, and it's because its rhizomatic roots are really deep underground. And here we recorded this footage in Hungary. You can see it. It actually came out from a a tombstone. It in the countryside in Hungary. So it came out. It just yeah. You can see it's like just reborn. It's like it's like a Halloween story. Yeah. But back to our White Garden Utopia.
Yeah, what's about your Utopia of the Japanese knotweed?
I share my. Can you see my shared screen?
Yes, yes, very good.
So I would like to speak a little bit about the installation and the video that you can see next to you in the room.
Yeah.
The main element is the video, and it starts with with a screen. It show us as pioneers or settlers from arriving from somewhere on a raft to settle this barren inhabited rocky island with a single Japanese knotweed in the raft. And the Knotweed, we thought Knotweed is very suitable for this story, as how Vance already mentioned, because it's also a pioneer plant and it can grow after a volcanic disaster, and it can break through the lava to establish a more complex ecosystem. So in this way, it's a kind plant because give space and establish the space for other plants and later animals. In the exhibition space next to the video, you can see this object, which is a so-called stick chart.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Stick chart and
or a stick map.
Yeah, or a stick map, and the stick map was used by indigenous people of islands of mainly of Pacific Ocean for navigation, and the chart represents the main ocean swells, swell patterns, and the ways islands disrupted those patterns. And we filmed the video in Jersey, and that's why we made a chart map according to the Jersey Ocean current map. You can see it in the other picture. We use more pictorial references, like the flag planting, for example. It can remind you such famous pictures as the raising or the flag on Iwo Jima in the final stage of the Pacific War, or the flag planting at the moon, for example. And
yeah, and
you're playing music for us.
And in our project, we revisited a lot of abandoned utopias, and for example, we was really interested in the bucolic idyll or the pastoral, this utopian thinking from the Romantic era, and they just taught people who are living the countryside, mostly shepherds. They just live in harmony with nature, and they just all day they just play the flute. And but in reality, shepherds really playing flutes, but they have a really hard life. So it's not that utopistic. That we also made musical instruments like the It's in Hungarian. It's called tilinko, or in Slovakia it's called koncoka, and it's a shepherd's instrument. And we made it from the Japanese knotweed. I will demonstrate it for you. And we also made different musical instruments, like this buzzer, and it's more like a children's toy, but it's like a flute, but you can just rotate in the air. Yeah, I hope you heard it in the gallery space.
Yeah, we got a little bit. It's not so close to the mic. And Kitty, do you have also some instruments for presenting, or?
No, unfortunately, I don't have, because now in Vienna I didn't, and I forgot to take the instruments with me. But
There
I
are
will
no
show-
knotweeds in Vienna?
Yes.
Not
Okay.
in the
But
city
I
center.
can show some more instruments.
But
Sure.
you have these same instruments in the gallery space, so you can try the ones that not so
Yeah, okay. We have a flute player here in the audience.
Yeah,
Maybe Kirsten, you can take one of the flutes.
Yeah, just if you are really disinfecting it with alcohol and everything, I think. But yeah, but we will show you more musical instruments now.
Yeah, we will try one.
Oh, oh well.
Okay.
Someone else also wants to come and so specialized.
So now the workshop begins.
So,
You can talk to them here, and maybe you get out some melodies.
Hello.
Hi.
So you play it over the top like this?
You need to rotate it.
To rotate it?
Yeah, because you need to blow the air directly between the two layers.
Can you do it again? What are you doing?
So
Quite understand.
you need to blow the air between the layers, just like this.
Ah.
Yeah, it's hard to start, but if you are getting the technique, it can be easier. But that's the point. Shepherds have a lot of time to figure out, and traditionally shepherds doing the flutes themselves from.
Okay, I will try a bit more without blowing.
Okay. But thank you for the demonstration. In the beginning, you made a sound with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then I blow over it, and you're still blowing in. So.
Okay, yeah, for musical practice, online workshops are not ideal, huh? But very nice, yeah, that we have some instruments here. Maybe you can tell us some more about the musical aspect of your Wild Garden Utopia.
Mhm.
Yes, I would like to continue with that, but I think we have tutorials how to make an overtone flute from Japanese Knotweed on YouTube online. So if you you can try and you can make it, you have to practice it a little bit, but I think it's not um, difficult because we are not musicians, not professionals, and we just learned it. And so it's we we have similar projects with invasive species, focusing on transforming the plants into musical instruments. We make instrument type which are present in multiple cultures, which are common everywhere, most of the world. And we made a kind of sonic device from black locust, which is invasive in Europe and in Hungary now. This is the most regular plant in the forest, most regular tree in the forest, but originally came from North America. So we transformed this plant into a slit, a simple slit drum, and we made a horn out of Alianthus altissima, a tree of heaven, young tree trunk. And
in the US, they also call it ghetto palm. Maybe you know this plant by this name.
Mm-hmm.
Because it looks like a little bit as ghetto palm. And in our former project, we evoked the Hungarian composer and folk music collector Béla Bartók and his notion of native music. Maybe you know him as musicians, and in the beginning of the 20th century, he spent many years with collecting and recording folk music among the Hungarian peasants, and in his 1942 essay titled "Radical Purity in Music," which he wrote after his emigration to the US as a protest against fascism. And in this essay, Bartók Béla talked about how mixed Central European melodies and how its mixing had a beneficial effect on musical diversity. So finally, he promoted the musical impurity. And Bartók Béla research then collected the authentic peasant music who used to play on their simple device. As Vance told you, they make the shepherds had a lot of time to make musical instruments, and for example, they made that instruments out of elder branches, because elder was common everywhere in the fields. But since Bartók, not only the folk music in the traditional sense changed, but also the natural environment of the people changed, and that's why we want to create new community music adapted to the changed environment. We are not we are not professionals, but we don't want to be. It's more conceptual. We just would like to enjoy playing music together without consequences, or just for fun.
Yeah, very good. Our flute player is back, and she trained a little bit. You can come here. Okay, try again. Can you see us?
Yeah.
Ja. Kannst du dich hier hinstellen, dann sehen sie dich.
Now you beat some holes too.
Yeah, it's an overtone flute, so you can modify the pitch with the air pressure, and you can make a half note difference if you cover the end of the flute, and if you cover it just partially, it make a quarter note. Yeah, sorry, it's made for my arm length, but all the musicians need to make their own musical instruments with their body sizes.
You get 3 overtones on it, which is already quite nice. Maybe you want to cover it.
Maybe
yeah, it's a different
to the other of the audience, because it's interesting how light it is. Yeah, the weight. Just clean it before.
yeah, and it could be up to 5 or 6 overtones.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, get this little one.
Ah, die hatten een noise reduction.
Is it too? Yeah.
Yeah, there's a kind of reduction of the volume, limiter. And so if you start, it's okay, but if you are louder, it will be pressed down.
I get the low one
Okay.
too.
Yeah. But okay.
But you can hear the sound of all the musical instruments in the video.
Of course.
The whole soundtrack of the video made with these instruments. And if you have more time, we would like to share you more aspects of the project about the image references and architectural elements.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, we would like to see.
Kitty, if you share your...
Yes, so we use art historical references like the bunch gatherers, because in our Utopia, the people use this plant as their main resource.
Can you show the image?
Yeah, can you see the image? No, okay. Yeah.
There's the...
It was the...
Yes, now it's
the horn player.
Now we have it, yeah.
And if you go back one image, you can see how...
can you see now?
And I think, there's if you go back, you just skipped the most important image where we are making like a live session with...
Yes.
We use all the musical instruments with group. Okay, sorry, Kitty.
No problem. So I repeat it. We in this Utopia, we use this plant and transform it for different purposes, like make instruments, eat it. We will share with recipes with you, and yes, and you refer to art historical famous pictures like Millet's, Jean-François Millet's famous famous paintings who from the realism who depicted peasants in hard work, depicting women carrying firewood on their backs. So we repeat it in our video, and Van Gogh. I show more references from the Japanese culture too, or this is from our most famous and most known Hungarian painter. It's an inner Hungarian joke.
Okay.
Yeah, and we used other references like when maybe you know this story about the people. There's in some version there's a father and their children, and they teach them how you can break one stick, but you cannot break an entire bunch of the sticks. And in the next image, you can see if you show us the next image.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot.
In the video, we reenacting it, but actually this whole idea with the single stick and the bench, it came from Rome, the ancient Rome. And in the next image, you can see this bundles was carried in front of Roman people who are allowed to make capital punishments, so who can kill people. And this bundle is like how they tell the reason behind the manslaughter that they can do, because they said in a bundle, in a society, we are stronger, and if we are not in a society or in this bundle, in a metaphor, everybody will die. So the society can kill people because everybody can thanks their life to the society. And this really harsh metaphor, and this really like it's so yeah, it's for me it's horrifying how they use this kind fable, and they use the same metaphor in the US. In Lincoln's chair, there's this bundles, and also in Washington carrying one. And but later on, Mussolini was really fond of this bundle idea, and in ancient Rome they called it fasces, and the party just adopted the name. The fascist parties came from the fasces, this bundle of stick metaphor. And now, for example, in the US, you can see President Trump in the background. There's also this fasces. And we also ate the Japanese knotweed because it's edible. Actually, in Japan, it's a delicacy. They call it itadori, and they eat the young shoots of the Japanese knotweed. Yeah, we made itadori. You can make it if you in spring, in February, March, April, depending on the weather. You can collect the young shoots, and if you put it on salt, you can make itadori, and it's really good. You can make sushi with it. You can make a lot of things. We also make juice, and yeah, children really like it. We did this workshop in the UK, and most of the people in the UK thought the Japanese knotweed should be toxic, because something that bad like a terrorist weed, it should be toxic. It cannot be edible, but it's completely edible. The taste is like between the rhubarb and asparagus maybe, but it's a really sour and tasty thing.
Yeah, it's a pity that we can't have lunch with you.
Yeah, it's
We used to organize a feast and eating sessions
but
after.
you can make it in springtime. It's better if it's fresh. So yeah, and what else we used to make with this plant?
Yeah, we made
Mhm.
jam. It's very nice. And of course, you can store it for a year if you add sugar or salt. So it's really easy to preserve and enjoy it all of the year.
Mhm.
And the
Yeah.
last,
Mhm. We also used to make structures from it because it's really light and you can easily build bigger structures from it because it's relatively strong. And this one is it's called the Tensegrity. It's also kind of a metaphor. The name comes from Tensegrity, come from tension and integrity because the sticks make the tension and the strings make the integrity of the structure. And for example, these are Carlis Johansson's structures, who was the inventor of the Tensegrity structure. This is an exhibition from the early 20th century. In the first years of the Soviet Union, he made these structures and he just saw this tensegrity structure as a metaphor of the Soviet Union and how everybody in an equal role can make like a utopistic society. Yes, and we also made a geodome with this plant.
yes, yeah, Buckminster Fuller adopted the tensegrity structures in his domes, and we also recall the Fuller's special architectural form. We gathered under the dome, and
And he was in the middle of his career, he was an idealistic person. He invented the spaceship Earth metaphor, where he stated, since we are living the same planet, it's like we are in the same spaceship, so we cannot ruin the our spaceship because everybody dead, and this planet is just floating in the space, so we need to really caring about how we act in our spaceship. But later on, he just wanted to earn money, and he just sold his ideas to the US military, and he made like barracks for soldiers. This is the same geodome that we made, just the special aluminum military design from Buckminster Fuller. But in the end, they never used it in combats because it was a useless structure, because the aluminum sheets make it like really, really hot, and it was a bad idea. But but in this this is also an example how Utopia was abandoned and just participating in dystopias, like in this war situation. Yeah, so thank you for your attention, and if you have any questions, we are really happy to answer it.
Yeah, we have the model. here.
The model.
Show it, yeah. And also Kirsten, she's has another flute now. Maybe you can come closer, Kirsten.
This one works much better.
Yeah, it works better for her.
So
It's nice.
anyway, not as nice as
Very
you.
nice. Very
Congratulations.
I have one question from our live chat on YouTube. Tom Albrecht asks if you can kill the weed with glyphosate.
What is glyphosate? It's a toxin. It's we talk with experts like this eradication experts, and they said you can use toxins, but because it have like a huge rhizomatic structure, it's really hard to completely kill it. And if you use like pesticides that can basically kill anything, it works, but you cannot grow edible food after the soil. So that's why they're trying to electrify it.
Electrify.
Yeah, like in the video,
Yeah.
with this 5,000 volts, I think.
Wow.
The electricity goes down to the rhizomes, and they just boil the water inside the plant.
Okay.
And with this technique, it takes 7-8 years to just stop the growth of the plant.
I have one maybe final question for somebody else. Has a question for? Yeah, you developed it somehow in Hungary, and did you made workshops there? And was there a political reaction on that because of this? Yeah, it's a very nice handling of this xenophobic atmosphere. Maybe you can tell something on that too.
Yeah, we made workshops in Hungary because this there's no connection between this alien species and the asylum seekers, but the way how people looking them, it's sometimes, unfortunately and sadly, it's a bit similar, because as you see, there's this green xenophobia against plants and animals, and there's actual xenophobia. And we thought it could be a good way to talk about these irrational fears in a different level, where it's not about humans, but it's about the abstract ethical dilemma. So yeah, and the way how the European Union treating the alien invasive species in its regulation, it's really similar. What is the European Union's immigration policy? Both the methods are based on costs and benefits analysis, and it's a utilitarian way to measure things, and it's really hard to deal with these sensitive and ethical questions like the asylum seekers or anything else. So yeah, but in Hungary we made workshops also with expats and asylum seekers, and we just talk about this issue, and that situation, it was like good and refreshing.
So it's a little bit also a kind of education project, huh?
Yeah,
Work very easily with children also and make them familiar with that whole topic.
Yeah, in Jersey Island we made it with smaller children, and it was, yeah, it works well because they was really they know about this plant and they was really frightened and they thought it's toxic. But since we talked through this topic and we played with it, we make children toys with it, they just realized it's not. Yeah, it's a complicated story and it's not. Yeah, so they had an experience when everybody said it's like something a terrorist, a violent thing, and they just know it. If you know the plant, actually, it's like not that black and white anymore.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope we can invite you next time in person for Berlin.
Yeah, it would be really great.
At Aaron Sound Gallery would be very nice. And yeah, thank you for your presentation. It was
Thank you very much for having us. Thank you.
Hey, Kitty.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, thanks for your participation from Vienna. And yeah, it was very interesting. We recorded it on our hard disk and it will be available on our website, dystopiefestival.net. So we hope that many people will join this presentation afterwards. And thank you again.
Thank you.
This was a Dystopie Festival, Sound Art Festival event, and stay tuned for more transmissions on our website and visit our installations in Berlin at Alte Münze and Aaron Sound. Thank you and bye.
Bye.